Well, welcome back, and as you may know, coming up next week, St. Patrick's Day, as a matter of fact, is a special election for different parts of California where there's going to be some offices that are vacated due to the election we had several months ago. Don Wagner is here today, and he is currently an assemblyman. You may know him better when he was with the College Board, right? You were there for how many? 3 terms, something like that?
I was there for 12 years, 3 terms,
Okay.
representing the South Orange County Community College District, which includes the Laguna Woods area. And
Right.
in fact, Saddleback has a wonderful emeritus program here in
Yes,
Laguna
they
Woods.
do. So you are currently on the assembly. What district are you in?
I'm in District 68, which is
Okay.
a central Orange County district. It's
Okay.
about a third of Irvine, Lake Forest, and up into Anaheim Hills, Orange, and Tustin.
Okay, so not this district, but people know you. They
Well, I
know you
used to
quite
represent
well.
this district.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
When I was first elected in 2010, the district included Laguna
Before
Woods.
they-
And then in 2012, the Citizens Commission redistricted, changed the lines, and my district moved. But I've been privileged to represent this community before.
And you want to do that again in the form of state senate. It's called the 37th District. And it's almost like a central pie shape of Orange County. It has part of Newport and Huntington Beach, obviously Laguna Woods. So it really covers a lot. So part of Costa Mesa as well, I think?
It includes Costa Mesa
Yeah,
as
so
well.
it's a wide variety. Tell us a few of your top priorities. Obviously, you're in the assembly, so you're there doing that already. But as Senate, what
Right.
would be slightly different?
Well, the responsibilities of the job are the same. It's to be responsive to your community, it's to pass legislation, and in my efforts to try to make California better. And what I've been doing in the Assembly, I will continue to do in the State Senate, and that is try to get our fiscal house back in order. Try to make sure that we have world-class education. Try to make sure that this state is business-friendly so people can grow their businesses, put people to work, and that we can sort of get us back to the Golden State, back to the business-friendly, family-friendly place we were when my family moved here back in the 70s.
And some of the things that you have led, and I think this would be, obviously people here have a lot of grandkids, great-grandkids and all. When it comes to the classroom, you have been on the forefront of ending bullying and gangs in schools. And one of the most important things, in my view anyway, is getting computers in the classroom and tech in the classroom.
When I got to the Assembly, I had just come from 12 years dealing extensively with the higher education system. I was put on the Education Committee right away and immediately got back into that work. I've since been moved off the Assembly Education Committee and come into a couple of others, for example, the Aging and Long-Term Care Committee, where I'm the Vice Chairman, something that is very important and I know near and dear to the Laguna Woods community. I asked for that committee when I was representing Laguna Woods, was glad to get it. Been on the Budget Committee, but also I started something that was a little bit unusual up in Sacramento. We call it the UC Caucus, and it was a caucus bipartisan. Also, both houses are represented. I am the Assembly co-chair, but we're trying to focus on the UC system, and it's for legislators who have some connection to the UC system. One of the things we were able to do was meet with President Napolitano not too many months ago and suggest to her that her tuition increase was not going to fly very far in the legislature. Fortunately, now she's backed off on that. So it is a great opportunity when you're up in Sacramento to actually affect some real change. What I hear in this campaign is people want good jobs, people want a business-friendly environment, they want us to roll back regulations, and they want us to have quality education. And those are the things I've been focusing on in Sacramento. If I'm privileged to continue representing this district and the whole 37th in the State Senate, I'll continue those challenges, working on those challenges.
And certainly in the lower grades, a lot of us here have kids in those lower grades. We certainly want to see those type of things come to the classroom. They are in many ways, but there are some schools, certainly in this district, who may not have the same support. A lot of times it's by the PTA, so they can't get those devices into the classroom quite as quickly as others. So that would be certainly a good thing.
Right.
I know looking on your website here and easy, wagnerforsenate.com, 4 is the number 4. Looking at some of the things, and I think it's similar to some of your opponents in that the taxes in the state, the runaway spending, instead of putting money towards our roads, we might be putting it towards the high-speed rail, if you want to call it high-speed rail. What's your view on all that?
Well, I'll tell you this, and if folks go to my official website, not necessarily the campaign website, but the video on my official website.
That would be your assembly district.
My assembly district is issuing a challenge to Governor Brown. And the point I make there is, Governor Brown, if you would like a legacy, and nobody begrudges you a legacy, the legacy ought to be fixing higher education in the state of California. The master plan for education that his father, when he was governor, put into place served us well for 50 years. Let's focus now on the next 50 years. I also said in that video, Governor Brown, if you want a legacy, how about you put some money towards the roads where people really drive? Let's put some money towards the ports to upgrade them. Let's put some money to fixing our water infrastructure. There are crying needs in the state of California that are not going to be solved by the high-speed rail. I am against that project, always have been, and think there are much better ways for us to spend that money.
Okay. You are endorsed by several people that I think people know of here, Dana Rohrabacher, Mimi Walters, who
I hope to replace.
Senator Pat Bates, and we certainly know her extremely well. She's been quite an advocate for the seniors.
Correct.
And is that a path that you follow as well?
I absolutely want to partner with her. As I mentioned, one of the committees that I've been on in the Assembly is the Aging and Long-Term Care Committee, because I do realize how important the subject is and how it touches so many different lives, not just the lives of some of our elderly citizens, but of their family members as well. It is absolutely critical. I applaud Senator Bates and her work. I absolutely want to stand shoulder to shoulder with her to continue that work. That's why she's endorsed me. And I do want to take just a second. It is curious to me and quite gratifying that I have the endorsements, not just of the people I've worked with up in Sacramento, the entire Senate caucus, for example. I frankly have worked with those people and would expect that. I find that the vast majority of the elected officials, the folks that you voted for and know and represent you, the vast majority in Orange County have come behind me. I have 4 of the 5 sitting supervisors. They know my work, they know my opponent's work. They say I'm the right candidate for this job. Similarly, I have 3 of the 4 supervisors my opponent worked with in his last term in office. 3 of the 4 know me, have come with me. 5 of the 6 county elected wides, the DA, the sheriff, the clerk recorder, the assessor, those folks that, again, know me, know my opponent, know what I can do, know what he can do, come behind me, because I've managed for the last 4 years to actually get things done up in Sacramento and want to continue doing that.
I want to ask one thing on here. Looking at your website here, and again, it's wagnerforsenate.com, and this really pertains to one of the issues here is protect families. And the one thing I want to get to here is I believe that life is precious and we'll fight to defend life from conception to natural death. I want to talk about the natural death part and what you mean by that, because we had some people on just last week from the California Senior Legislature, and one of the things that they are looking to move forward, and I forget the AB number, but it's called the Death with Dignity Act.
Right.
Where do you stand on that?
I am familiar with that act. I'm also very familiar with the Senior Legislature. I've carried several of their bills. They in fact asked me to preside, and I had a lot of fun presiding over one of their sessions one day. Great group of very committed individuals. That said, I'm not sure they're right on all of the issues, and this is one I do have a significant disagreement with them about. As that legislation currently stands, and know, of course, that it's early in the process, these bills change a lot. As it currently stands, I could not support it because my concern is I don't want the state dictating to the doctors what the doctors who have the responsibility of not only diagnosing, but helping terminally ill patients through the end stages of life. I don't want the state to be coming between the doctor and the patient and suggesting to the doctor that they need to give options that the terminally ill or their families may not quite be ready for yet. I think as currently drafted, this is a bill that I cannot support. Will it change during the amendment process? At this point, I don't know. I certainly hope so, and that it can get closer to something that would be supportable. But right now, with all due respect to the senior legislature, and I know many of the members, this is one I do have to disagree with them on.
Okay, and yeah, like I said, they were on a week or two ago and brought this up, and why I didn't read it, they said it kind of parallels what the law is in Oregon. That's the best way I can describe
in Oregon. We've had a lot of discussions about it already in our caucus, although it is early in the legislative session. There are folks who are all over the board on this, some who have gone through very bad situations with loved ones, and others who've gone through the same situations and handled them differently. It is an enormously difficult issue. Which is why a go slow and take it easy, do it right approach from the government is the right thing. Because, I mean, the government is a great, big, blunt instrument. And legislation is often one size fits all because that's how you have to write it. And in this case, I'm not sure a one size fits all solution to these difficult end of life issues is best for everybody.
Okay. Getting back quickly, we've got about a minute left to the businesses in the state. We obviously have seen over the past few years, due to regulations, some of the businesses have, maybe they not have left, but they have chosen to build facilities or data centers somewhere else. How would you kind of counteract that? You're going to be in an area that, as you know, is not your party's majority there. Have you seen in the assembly sort of any kind of shift with some of the other side of the aisle, so to speak, in their thinking?
Unfortunately, there's not been much of a shift in their thinking, and I'll give you a couple of examples. I'll give you one, we're running out of time. One of the very first bills I brought was to rein in the regulatory state so that these unaccountable government agencies cannot continue to put regulations on our businesses that end up crippling them, end up stopping them from hiring or expanding. And that bill met the fate that good bills often meet up in Sacramento, and that is it was killed by the Democrats in its first hearing. I will, because when I ran for office in 2010, I told the people of Laguna Woods and the district at that time, I would carry that legislation and I would keep the fight up with the Democrats. That's only one bill, as I say, I think we're a little late on time. I could cite several others, but you keep the pressure on because the reality is businesses are leaving, and the reality is they're not expanding. And we are much more stagnant in our economy than we need to be, and that's the fault of Sacramento.
All right. Once again, Don's website, his Senate website, that I should say, running for Senate, is wagnerforsenate.com, the number 4. Obviously, you can go online, and if you want to see his assembly record and what he has to say on the assembly, you can put Don Wagner, 68th Assembly District, right?
Right.
And then just go ahead and do the search, and you'll find it from there. That's the easiest, because let's face it, the links to your Senate, to the assembly offices are kind of wacky the way they have them written out, but that's what I do.
That's the way the government works.
That's why there's Google. All right.
Right.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good to see you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.